Everyone, it's Christine. Welcome back to my channel and to this week's weekly energy forecast for the week of April 22 through the 28th. I always forget the dates. Check in with me. How is everyone doing right now? I feel like things are just moving. I say that all the time. They're just moving so quickly. And just in my recollection, when I was thinking back to being a kid, I don't recall things moving as fast. And perhaps it's because as kids, we're more focused on the present. We don't worry about the future, and it's so different. And it brings me back to notions of when growing up, we just focus on what is in front of us at that moment. So check in with me, you all. Let me know how things are going. Also, a happy birthday to all of my Taurians out there, or Taurus people. I am wishing you a beautiful week ahead if it's your birthday. A lot of things that we have been acclimating to, a lot of things settling down slowly. Some of you are coming out of the post-eclipse energies and feelings because it'll depend. Everyone feels them differently. Overall, what have you feel has shifted most in your life? Do you feel like you're getting your bearings straight, or at least feeling like things are normalizing in a more earthy, steady, rooted way? It's always interesting for me, and that's why I ask a lot of these questions, because so many of us are spread apart, spread around different areas of the globe, and not everyone is connected to other people that may be on similar paths. So it helps so many of us, myself included, feel like, oh, I'm not alone in this. There's other folks, other humans doing this, and we can all relate. Reminder, all times are always in Eastern Standard Time, New York City time for reference. Let's get into the astrology. On April 23rd, we have the full moon in Scorpio, and eclipse season generally starts wrapping up here, although the energies could be lingering. Think of it like a storm. It doesn't have to be negative either. You know, sometimes you'll have lingering effects. The ground may be still wet. You may see rainbows. You may still see some saturation, etc. So the moon is in her fall here in Scorpio, because she struggles with the ever-changing dynamics of the material and physical world. And here with Scorpio, we're going into darkness. Just think about it in terms of light. Scorpio season in the northern hemisphere tends to occur as we enter the fall season. And in the summer, likewise spring. There's a changing of the light here that's happening. We're getting more of one or the other. So representing here in terms of how it relates to the moon, and more so when we look at the significations relating to Scorpio, it has to do with death, dissolution, destruction, darkness, security, depth, and emotional intensity, because Scorpio is a water sign. It's a fixed or solid sign too. So it could hold on to these things for so long, which is why a lot of folks tend to denote some of the lower expressions we see with Scorpio. It could be possessiveness, jealousy, sometimes manipulation, control for security reasons, holding on too long, impermanence, which can disconnect us from who we are. Just imagine when you are somewhere dark, you don't see light. Sometimes you may not even see what's in front of you. And so you're traversing and using other senses, whether it's putting one foot in front of the other, maybe touching or sniffing, using your scent or other means to get around. And for some, that could present fear because you don't know what's around you. And also too, in a more emotional, spiritual, perhaps psychological way, when you experience some type of darkness, when you're going through some type of struggle and it's affecting you in these areas, in these ways, what happens? Sometimes there's a fear there because we don't know what's at the bottom. And a lot of times Scorpio is teaching us to, and helping us as well, get in touch with the unknown, the abyss. Also, the deep emotions that arise, which could be fear, loss of control, realizing that we don't have it all. And we're meant to navigate this with a lot of trust and faith, and knowing that we are transforming and leaning into things that we will eventually come to see and understand. So again, things I mentioned, some fear arises during this time, insecurity, doubts, jealousies, etc. Those are the lower expressions, but I feel like it's helping you if you experience them. Other ones include like paranoia, possessiveness, obsession, jealousy, extreme darkness, or evil. Sometimes those are asking you, those could be shadow aspects that are asking you what's going on. Why are you feeling this way? Because they ping and they provide a lot of answers. Some people that may be possessive, maybe with their belongings or their money. Maybe it's rooted in fear of losing it all, or they grew up in poverty, or they grew up with nothing. I've known a lot of folks in those situations where some of them can accumulate belongings, especially physical belongings. So just an example for you to work with this energy, because this is just telling us something. It's not bad, it's not good, but it's letting us know, hey, there's something that wants to be looked at and not to be afraid of that. We're also finding emotional security in the unknown, in the darkness, and so many other themes. I don't want to get too into it because a separate video will be posted. So this is a theme. This lunation, is bringing up the themes of learning how to perhaps reimagine our relationship with power, control, with fears and insecurities, with the unknown, and navigating through, as well as aspects of ourselves and perhaps in others that we see that we may not like and are quick to judge. On April 25th, Mercury stations direct, and we have the shadow period until May 9th. So again, we're coming out of this period of perhaps a little bit of mercurial wonkiness, communication, snafus, misunderstandings, frustrations, maybe pauses on certain themes, especially related to business, finances, travels, communications. Maybe squabbles arose with some friends or siblings or relatives. Whatever the case, things are going to start smoothing out, and you may be retaining and also gleaning more clarity in your life, feeling like things are starting to pick back up and continue forward. So until May 9th, things are starting to improve in this area generally. On April 28th, Mars in Pisces conjoins Neptune in Pisces. Remember on April 3rd, Venus did the same thing with Neptune. So now it's Mars's turn. So expect, because Mars in Pisces is more contemplative, more sensory in a romantic way, more emotional. There's not a rush or an energy to let's get this done and go forward. There's an energy of let's sit with this, let's connect and meander. And it can feel uncomfortable for this planet. Again, archetypally, we may experience more drive, energy, and virility, especially when it comes to the unknown or spiritual sources. We may feel either receive like an influx of messages coming up. I keep getting heat. Some of you may feel heat through your body, or some type of acknowledgement from your own spiritual team or guides letting you know that messages are incoming or we have something to send you. And sometimes you may not be able to decipher it at that moment, but it will decipher on its own and you will understand it. Also, a strong, again, for many, many weeks now, focused on consolidating your spiritual practice, your connection, because a lot of the messages coming forth, especially in a few years when many of these planets go into air signs, we're going to be going to higher expressions and octaves of consciousness where things are happening even faster. And so establishing this practice is going to allow you to harness and channel that, particularly when it comes to telepathy, other forms of maybe remote viewing, traveling in different ways appear, like astral travel or through your dreams, but also communicating in new ways. So themes around this could bring up or revolve around romance, spirituality. It could be forgiveness and compassion too. And there could be this energy that you're feeling to perhaps take care of, address, or take action on what you can do to release some of this. Because Mars also represents energy, the inertia that we have within us. And there's an energy of also cleaning up in a spiritual way, anything that may be left, I'm trying to get the word out, unspoken, unsaid, or things that are lingering. You know, when you have a to-do list and you still have that one little sucker on there, it's kind of like that. So anything that you want to wrap up in that way, it can be also just practicing forgiveness for yourself and for others. It doesn't mean you have to connect with other people. Practicing compassion, reimagining and actually looking deeper into your relationship with empathy and what that means, because empathy doesn't always mean having to help every single person. It could simply mean the state of being and demonstrating that, but you don't have to do anything. And you can use this in a very positive way with your creative and spiritual endeavors. Would love to. And use that to connect that energy to messages that you're receiving. So some people can do this, again, with Mars energy, doing something active, whether it's physical movement or exercise. I also feel like it could be writing, any way that you are getting that energy out. Like channeled writing, automatic writing, could be journaling. Some of you could be getting something out this way through singing, through chanting. Because I feel like downloads are going to come in conjunction as that energy is moving. I also kept channeling here because I made a note here about a message that some folks will open up to this or restart or will start to receive a lot of information in this way, where you combine your practice of movement. Again, it could be Qigong. I hope I said that right. Yoga, walking, whatever it is, and you feel like this is a new way for you to connect to your spiritual team and to start receiving messages. Because if you don't move this energy, prana, life force, chi, however you want to denote it, it's going to get stuck and stagnated. And it could create blockages where you feel a certain something depending on where it's at. And it can bring up elements of feeling misunderstood, not being able to express yourself, confused, or stuck in some way. Coming up on April 29th, Venus goes into Taurus, its domicile, so she's probably excited. On the 30th of April, Mars goes into Aries, its domicile as well, so he's on his way and he's also excited. And on May 2nd, Pluto in Aquarius stations retrograde. Let's get into the tarot, you guys. This was a short week in terms of astrology. Things are settling down and still we're getting messages confirming things that we want to start building. So the clarity is here and making sure that this is what you want to do and naming it and then start working towards it. It reminds me of those 3,000 piece puzzles where at the beginning when you put all the pieces, and I've never done this, so because I'm just getting this right now, it's a message. You turn the box over and all the pieces are in front of you and you're like, where do we start? You just start anywhere. That's it. Remember the Taurian energy? I always get the little snail. It's very emblematic for me of the little snail. Slow and steady wins the race. No need to rush. What messages do we need to know for this week? What is going to help us? What guidance do we need to know? We're releasing a lot this week. Anything that's holding, I want to say too, there's this motorcycle outside that keeps revving. Anything that's holding you back, especially within yourself. So fears, doubts, insecurities, things that you're still working through, healing and letting go, it's going to clear the way, like pave the way for you to continue moving forward towards your dreams and goals and what you want. 7 of Cups, water energy, Pisces, Cancer, Scorpio. A lot of choices here. This is why the clarity I mentioned just a little bit ago. Getting clear on what you want and not expending all of that emotional energy, especially on different things, will help you solidify and build something of quality. So it's almost like when you are trying to pursue goals and then you make up 12 different areas of your life and you make up ambitious goals and you're like, I'm going to get this all done in a year. Maybe, for example, build a house, get a degree, travel to 100 places, start a family, adopt a dog. And I'm not saying this to dissuade anyone, but the Taurus energy and Earth energy in particular is very practical and grounded and making sure we're going to have to take bite-sized chunks and take action and progress towards it in order to make this come true, in order to bring this into our realities. So just be careful of biting off more than you can chew and putting in, perhaps splitting up your energy, but that's not the right word. Perhaps overcommitting or committing to too many things at once, where your energy is kind of parsed into so many different places, where you're not able to create or build in the way that you want something that you're going to see your return on. In other words, you may not see it for a long time if you're working on 8 different things, 7 different things, since we have 7 of cups. Maybe something for some of you that's coming up, or you're being reminded to think about, is, what do I really want right now that would be most helpful for me? Maybe I want to increase my income. Maybe I want to move and I know I have to save up for that. Maybe I want to go back to school. Maybe I simply want to get a dog. Just so many things right now happening, and so many, just think of goals, anything in any area of your life. And think about something that you can focus on and create concrete goals to that. I think many people, some of the mistakes I've seen with goal setting is taking on too much, especially when you are emulating others, and that may be from social media or even people that you see, oh, they get a lot done, but you don't know the resources that they have at hand, or how many people are helping them, or even what they're able to delegate. And that may require financial resources, or who knows, we don't see pictures like that. So just be cautious of taking on more. It doesn't mean that you can't pursue those goals, but you may need to say, okay, we're gonna have to time that. Maybe for the next 3 months, I really want to focus on these 2 main goals. And you can see that when you put that energy and that focus, you're going to see the output increase. You're going to see your work. You're going to start seeing, oh, I see the fruits of my labor are coming. So this card is reminding us, be careful of splitting up your energy into too many things, because you may end up burning out, not getting what you want or seeing what you want, and not making the progress that you want. You may end up realizing, oh my gosh, I invested in too many things. Perhaps you focused on other people, or you simply, like I said, committed to too many goals, and that can really take away from you. That's why it's important to be specific, very clear, and what's going to help you most move forward. Let me pick another card, because that was short. Anything else we need to know? I'll say it always feels better when you are able to see progress in one area of your life pretty quickly than over 2 years, right? Because sometimes that seems so far away, and it can be discouraging when we're only seeing a trickle of progress instead of more, or however we define it. Oh my gosh, we got Taurus energy again, 7 of Pentacles, you guys. And we got 10 of Swords, Gemini energy. Again, many of you are super ambitious. Get that straight away here. Many of you are very ambitious, are trying to plant a giant-ass tree. No, not a tree, a garden. It's like someone who doesn't have experience in gardening, and then their first gardening project is, I'm planting a huge garden everywhere, like a community garden. I'm not saying you can't, but I'm trying to say there's something about being realistic here, about knowing your limits at this season right now, knowing, okay, with everything that I have to do or that's on my plate of responsibilities, what will help me the most right now? And what can I work towards so I can start seeing that grow? Because the 7 of Pentacles can indicate, okay, it's time to grow this. It's time to put in work, and you will see that grow. You will see this come to fruition, but you got to work at this. And if you have you have your energy spread out into too many things with the 7 of Cups, for example, since that was the first card we got, you may not be able to see the growth that you want here. And we have the 10 of Swords. So if you do take on too much, you may end up depleting yourself and not getting anything done, or getting very little. So if going back to the gardening example, maybe the best thing to do is to start with a little herb garden on your windowsill, instead of planting something huge where you're trying to grow and become sustainable for yourself and create something that you've never had experience in, and learning little by little, because this energy is about building upon one step over the other. Another example that's coming to me is like a marathon, or anything that requires step-by-step input to achieve something bigger. It could be a degree as well, or something where the goal can be longer term, but you can have mini goals to get to these different milestones. So like a marathon, for example, if you haven't run and you just say, I'm going to run the first day, you may end up feeling physically sore. You may injure yourself. You may say, I'm never running again. And that's it for the marathon goal. So this week, really take time. You can list out all your goals and then say, what can I do within all the commitments that I have right now in this season of my life? And what is it that is going to make the most impact for me? I would suggest no more than 3 goals, 1 to 3 goals. And working towards that, because you do not want to burn yourself out, because Taurus is steady energy. It's sustainable. It's endurance. The fixed signs see things through over a long time because they can endure with their energy, knowing that we keep building, we keep working towards that, and we will see what we want. And it can be difficult if you take an approach where you're thinking, I can just work, 20-hour days and get this done in a week. Then you may feel depleted from working on other things. So be careful. This spread is reminding you about guarding your energy, focusing on what's practical and realistic for you, not taking on too much. Just because you are working on all these goals doesn't mean you're going to get everything you want faster. This isn't about speed, you guys. Because sometimes you end up sacrificing your own health, your own well-being, and you go back several steps instead of making progress, even if you think they're small. Just a reminder for anyone that needed to hear that, because sometimes people think I have to do all this, or it has to look like someone else. That's why I'm cautious when I see other people in different social media aspects say, well, this is what I've done. And some people are not fully forthcoming about what they're able to do and say, well, I get all this done. I'm a productivity king, queen, whatever. And you're like, wait a minute. You have a team, you have a helper. You don't have to do the little minutia grind working of editing or cleaning or any of that. So we don't know things about that. So just be really realistic with your own life, your own schedule, because it's going to save disappointment. More importantly, it's going to allow you to say, you know what, I can make progress. I'm proud of myself. I'm making steps forward. 7 of Pentacles will become the 8 of Pentacles. I will see. And then eventually 9, where you will see the return, the blessings come up. So be choosy about what you want to grow and who you want to grow it with. What other messages do we need to know? Some of you also need to cut out some goals. Many of you have curious energy and you're like, ooh, I want to do this and that and that. Just list it all somewhere and just tackle it one by one, but not all at once. Okay, we got Gates of Triumph. Success expands into your life. A lot of insinuations here. When you are clear on what it is you want, doors are going to start opening for you. But there's a focus here, a pragmatism. You will start seeing things happening and shifting for you. Impasse. Reflect and redirect your energy. The squirrel. The squirrels, they tend to, and I found that out this year. I didn't know this around squirrels because I'm connected to a lot of squirrels here. And I was watching them one day and they take their nuts and they bury them in the ground. I'm like, what are they doing? And then they find them later on. Sometimes they forget. And so they are preparing for the future, right? And they work hard, but they also take time to reflect as well. And this card with the squirrel is reminding you, and just in general, this energy. I feel like I've already talked about it, so I'm not going to go into it. But if you're just feeling a certain way, especially with your energy, if you're tired, really take a look at what you have on your plate, what you want to accomplish, if those goals still make sense to you, if they're aligned with your values, because Taurus ruled by Venus is very much too about doing things that are value-laden, that are true for you. If you're not connecting to it, that may mean to drop it. 10 of Swords, drop it, end it, time to cut it out. There's a completion there. Some of you are learning that sometimes less is better, whether it's with the number of friends that you have and the amount of time you invest in them, or the people in your network. Maybe it has to do with your lifestyle, goals, etc. So if you're experiencing any blockages this week or in the coming weeks, because these energies shift, I feel like I'm not pronouncing things. Take a pause and ask yourself and take some time to reflect. It doesn't have to be long. Say, what's coming up? What challenges have been arising? What are they telling me? Do I need to change the approach? Do things a different way, or maybe put this on timeout for a little bit, or go back to basics? Okay, let's pull another card here. I'm pulling from the Self-Oracle. A lot of self-care themes coming up. Okay, we got 3. 24. Learn. Expand your knowledge to expand your world. Seek out teachers of wisdom. Seek out knowledge. Seek out new knowledge to create broader perspectives. Look at this expansion here. Some of you, I'm getting this right now, may benefit from forming an accountability group with others. Whether it's with a friend, a buddy, it could be a community if it works for you, if you find something supportive, or simply finding some type of mechanism that can offer support. It could be a guide, a teacher, a coach, again, a friend. It could be an app, a book, or a chart. You know those trackers where people can check off, or stickers, like what some people do with chore charts for kids. Something like that, that can allow you to start making progress, learning, and seeing that the efforts that you're putting in, they're going to bloom, they're growing, even if you may not see them. It's like, you know those videos about animals and plants where you see them fast forward? I'm not sure what that's called, but you see the flower bloom in a second, even though it could take months. Same thing with little seedlings. It's kind of like that. Sometimes we don't see that the goals and the effort we're putting in, that it's growing, but it may feel so small to us, we don't register it. You may be learning new ways of doing and accomplishing and putting forth that action towards what it is you want to bring into fruition into this world. We have 9, rest. Divine timing is always spot on. Surrender control and take a break. So apt for this week, especially with the lunation. But some of you, and this is also indicative, look at the 10 of Swords. Do you see the posturing? It's like mirroring. Look at this. Through peeling back, sometimes that motto, less is more, it grants you freedom. It grants you realizing actually less is definitely more. Realizing you don't need all these things. It's kind of like when people embark on maybe a new fitness regimen and they think they need all these books, new workout clothes, water bottle, fancy gadgets and apps. Sometimes you realize, you know what? I just need to get my butt out the door. That's it. You don't need anything fancy. You don't need to drive anywhere. You don't need apps. You don't need anything. You just put on your sneakers and go. So there's an element here when it comes to your dreams of peeling back those layers and going back to basics, but also allowing yourself and realizing, because you know the themes that are popping up here, this isn't about racing to that finish line and trying to get it done. Learning to take breaks. Many of us are learning to take breaks, to rest, to do things in a way that doesn't burn us out or lead to stress or exhaustion. 30, be nimble. When we ask for help, we must be open to receiving it. We may be called to be flexible when help arrives in unexpected forms. All these themes are connected. All of these. Asking for help. Leaning into the resources that you have and that you may want to bring into your network, into your awareness, and to cultivate. Final card, you guys. Final messages, please. What else do we need to know? Companionship. Giving someone your complete presence is an astonishing gift. We have dragonflies, birds, looks like a bluebird, and 2 elephants here. To me, this just feels like having support, like a support system. Some of you, again, I already mentioned this, like an accountability group or simply checking in with someone on your goals or having someone to hold you accountable. And for some, you can do it yourself. Some people prefer to do it themselves through the means that I've mentioned. A chart, you could use an app, or you can simply gauge yourself in the progress that you're making in different measurable ways. People take photos, people write things down, measurements. I'm giving just examples. Many of these themes focus on reaching out, especially if you're having trouble. That's when we are always called to ask for help. Guys, I hope this reading has helped. Wow, these readings to me have been so on point the last several weeks. Let me know if this resonates. Have you been feeling these energies? Have you been feeling like you are needing to scale back or minimize the number of commitments you have, or even the goals, and you're like, you know what? Less is more. What are your thoughts about what are your thoughts about that? Guys, thank you so much. I truly appreciate your support. Don't forget to hit the thumbs up button if you like this video, if this video offered you any guidance in any way. Best way to support me is by engaging, dropping by, even a little emoji helps. Otherwise, I'm sending you a lot of love, a big hug for the week ahead. Take care, and I'll see you soon.